Hello, 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 and welcome to another guest episode. They're coming thick and fast now. And this one is with Savanna Madden, and I'm really, really excited to bring her on today. She has had an incredible journey from unsure to unstoppable to do with losing her voice and bringing back the confidence and the resilience and the strength to now have an incredible business that she now helps other business owners to find their confidence and stand in their strength. And that has came through different types of work. So it's not just been a one size fits all, a one thing. But I will let her tell you all about that. So I will be back in a few moments with Savannah, and I cannot wait to share this story with you. See you soon. Go. All right, hello and welcome back. And we have Savannah here. She's going to tell us all about her incredible, incredible story. I can't wait to hear it. So let's just go in. We just came straight on. We just went straight on, didn't we? So, for anyone meeting you for the first time, which will probably be a lot of people, like because we're in very different parts of the country, who is Savannah in this chapter of her life?
Okay, so first of all, Donna, thank you so much for having me. It's really great to be here. And so, for people that don't know me, I'm Savannah and I'm a confidence coach for women in business. And I help women reclaim their voice, find their confidence, build their resilience, and create a life that they want and a business that they want from the inside out. And that comes from my own experiences. And I have two businesses now. And the second business is helping women to reclaim their voice. And the other business is that I'm a theatre school owner. So I've worked heavily in the performing arts for most of my adult life. But yes, my need, it's like a it's like not even optional anymore. Do you know what I mean? It's
100%.
an absolute calling to work with other women to ensure that they feel confident in the spaces that they're in and to take up space. Because yeah, I was somebody that wasn't able to do that for quite a long time, and now I feel like it is my time to take up more space and to help other women to do the same thing.
I love that. I could not resonate with that more. And although we came from different parts, like it is so important. It's so important to recognize that you are here for a reason and you can absolutely take up space. What feels most alive for you right now as we sit down to talk?
So for me, it's just working with people and being surrounded as well. So it's not
Yeah.
just the work element, it's being around people that have got something to say
Mhm.
and they're not afraid to say it. And when I say that, I mean with kindness and with authenticity and integrity. I'm not saying to anybody just to go around just say whatever they want if it's not helpful.
Yeah.
But it's more for people who have been sat on the sidelines or have been um, not feeling like they've got the confidence or the ability to be able to help people in their business, for example,
Yeah.
or they've got something amazing to give and yeah, haven't been able to find the right way of doing that
Mhm.
because of whatever might have happened to them previously, for
Yeah.
example.
And we can't get stuck in those stories, can't we? So that being
Exactly.
said, let's go back. So the kind of way we do this guest episodes of the podcast is we do the unsure part, then we do where it changed, and then we do like where are we going, what is happening, sort of a thing. So take us back. What was life like? Obviously, you talked about your voice, and I'm very
Yeah.
passionate about voice, but you actually, and I'm passionate about voice as and speaking about your voice and whatever and being taking up space and all that sort of stuff, but you actually physically lost your voice, didn't you?
I did, yeah.
Yeah. So it's
So
like double whammy, isn't it, really?
double bubble, yes. I think anybody losing their voice would be a really painful process, but particularly when you work in the performing arts industry, it's your instrument, it's your livelihood, it's everything that you stand for. But I want to take you back sort of 10 years ago, to yeah, nearly 10 years ago to 2016. Donna, actually was living in Scotland at the time.
Woo!
I used to live in Falkirk.
Not far, not far.
So in the middle of Glasgow and Edinburgh, essentially, and I was living in the countryside in a beautiful farmhouse. I was married to a Scotsman, and I had an all right job, a fairly good job. What I will say is that I wasn't working as a performer at the time, because I was in my marriage and we had decided that I would get a job that had a PAYE contract, where I
Yeah.
was not working self-employed for the greater good of an ultimate goal that we were striving for, which was to build our own house.
Yeah.
And I I agreed to do that because it was for the greater good and it was going to be for the bigger picture.
Yeah.
And there were a whole there were a whole sequence of events and a cascade of events that happened, not just that. And unfortunately, that marriage broke down,
Mhm.
and it was my decision to leave the marriage and to ultimately then leave Scotland and move back to England.
Mhm.
And I did all of that within about a sort of 6 month kind of process. So I knew it was all sort of failing at the beginning of the year. By March, I'd made the decision, and by August, I was back in England.
Wow.
And I had to pick up as much work as I possibly could. And luckily, I moved to an area of England which was Cambridge, where I've lived before. I knew people, and I was able to pick up work. But in that time, I started leaning into very much people pleasing behavior, just saying yes to everything, just to kind of make sure no one didn't want to work with me. And I wore being a workaholic like a bit of a badge of honor. And I was in about £10,000 worth of debt. And that was really egging that sort of behavior on, because I was like, I
Yeah.
just need the money, I just need the money. And I was freelancing for every single performing arts school you could possibly think of, working 7 days a week, no rest at all.
Mhm.
And something just had to give,
Yeah.
and that was my voice. And
Yeah.
in the following year, in the March of 2017, I was diagnosed with vocal nodules. And for anybody that doesn't know what those are, it's when cysts grow on your vocal folds and then they aren't able to vibrate efficiently together to actually produce sound. And I was teaching singing, acting, I was teaching dance where you have to speak over the music.
Yeah.
So I was really lucky. I was treated really brilliantly with the NHS, and I was referred for speech therapy. And they told me that luckily my nodules were from a lot of overuse because I've been working so many hours. And they could reverse it with speech therapy, and I didn't need to have I didn't need to have an operation, which was obviously amazing in such a difficult circumstance. And I decided to get myself into some talking therapy as well to try and work through everything that had happened to me in the last few years. And I also had quite a lot of Reiki as well. And the woman that I had Reiki with and the wonderful NHS speech therapist that I had treatment with, they both came to the same conclusion at different points of my treatment. And that not only were my nodules from overuse and overwork, they were also from the trauma that I had experienced in needing to leave my marriage, because one of the main factors was feeling like I didn't have a voice and that I didn't have an opinion, or my opinions weren't valid or worth listening to. Things that, I just felt very squashed and suffocated, and that I just wasn't leading the life that I knew I wanted to lead.
Yeah.
And so, obviously it was a hard decision to make, but I'm so glad that I made it. And then I feel like I almost had to go through some of those things to come out the other side,
Absolutely.
because that was the catalyst for then starting my first business, which is my performing arts school. Because I was like, I'm fed up of working for all these other companies. I've got so much experience. I'd already managed a studio in Glasgow. I had already managed a studio in Cambridge. And I was like, I can manage other people's studios. I could do my own thing. Um, and so, using some of the techniques I still use now with my clients, I built my confidence back. And yeah, my school will be 7 years old next year, so just in a few months. And I now have a team of 10 people working in it. So
Wow.
I'm just a decision maker, really. I do still teach 1 day a week, but it's because I want to, not because
Yeah,
I
you have
because
to.
I have to or I need to. Yeah. So and then through my work as a principal of a theatre school and being exposed to so many other theatre school owners, I've supported other performing arts professionals, and then most recently, sort of the last 6 months, I have been working a lot more closely with female entrepreneurs, women in business, people who have their own businesses, and who work for corporate companies, to work on yeah, taking up space, reclaiming their voice.
Amazing. Do you know, actually, there's so many different things that I totally resonate with you with, like, because obviously I've got a dance school and all, do you know what I mean? There's so many things that obviously we have came together for a reason, because there's been so many touch points that are actually the exact same. So when you look at that season of your life, what were the kind of pressures that you felt yourself under? Pressures, expectations, or emotions that were building up beneath the surface?
So expectations, I feel like I put really high expectations on myself, and actually they probably aren't as prominent with other
Yeah.
people. So yeah, I've always had a real grit and determination, and I've always had a really good work ethic, I think, which I get from my parents, but I obviously took it way too far back in 2016, 2017. And I almost, I would say, fell back into that repeated behaviour at the point where I was about to grow in my theatre school. I was just trading time for money, fitting absolutely every class in that I could possibly manage. So yeah, I don't actually feel like many people put too many expectations on me once I'd left my marriage. I think when I was in my marriage, I had all sorts of expectations put on
Yeah.
me that I should poke up and shut up and, just get on with things. Just always get on with things. We just got to get on with it. We just got to get this job and get this money, and then we can do this, and then we can do that. And I was just
Yeah.
like, I don't want to just get on with it. I want to live a fun life. I want to have fun and go on adventures. And don't get me wrong, I've done plenty of that. I also did plenty of that prior to the marriage breaking down. Um, but yeah, so I think that's what I would say about expectations.
Yeah.
And in terms of different emotions, when I was at my absolute lowest, at sort of, real rock bottom in the sort of autumn of 2016, I would just say that I felt pretty hopeless, to be honest with you. Pretty hopeless. I didn't quite know how I was going to move forward, but I knew deep down in my heart that I'd made the right decision, and
Yeah.
I just knew it was going to be a hard season. And I must say as well that I am so lucky that I had a really good support system,
Yeah.
really good family and friends. My parents were just incredible. And I was also really lucky that I only had to wait a few years to then meet my life partner who I'm with now, and we've
Mm.
been together for 8 years now. So yeah, I didn't have to wait too long for him to
Yeah.
come along. So
Yeah.
that was really good, and he has helped me work through a lot as well. But yeah, I think that when you're in those seasons of your life, you do have to kind of have a bit of a pity party at first, don't you? Just to kind of acknowledge everything that's happened to you. And at the time, I don't even think I did. I think it's only years and years later where I've been able to reflect that I've been like, oh, huh, yeah, yeah, that did happen,
100%.
didn't it? Or this was an experience that I had. And, I've only just started talking about this experience because I now feel ready. And as I said at the beginning, I almost feel like it's a calling, and you
Mhm.
get those when the time is right, don't you?
Oh, absolutely, 100%. And I think feeling that feeling of hopelessness is so like, you can just be in that pit, can't you? You can just be in the pit. But like you say, having that pain as a catalyst is really powerful. Like, it's really powerful. And I always say to people, you don't need to have that to transform. Like, you don't need to, but it's one hell of a powerful catalyst to get you from out of that pit. Sometimes you need to go to rock bottom in order to be like, I am not staying here, don't you?
That's it.
100%. So let's talk about when everything changed because you're obviously in a beautiful space now and that's amazing. Like all those things, even singularly, would be like catastrophic, but having them all, and like you say, sometimes it does take hindsight to be like, oh, actually, rather than in the moment. But so many of us are in this should and just going through life and the shoulds of life and going from day to day and week to week and not really having any sort of clarity or even like you say accepting emotions for what they are because sometimes we are in the Western world we're told to be like press and like you say they're going to manifest, they're going to come up in some sort of way like with your nodules, like that is going to
Mhm.
happen if you keep like a badger in your body's going to eventually be like nah, not doing it anymore, had enough.
Exactly.
Do you know what I mean? So incredible. Like I said, that's such an incredible and powerful story. So let's talk about did you have like a moment that you realized, or was it like sometimes it's a moment and sometimes it's like a over time type thing?
I mean, I definitely remember being in my lovely little one bedroom flat in Royston where my partner who used to come over, we weren't living together at that point, and this must have been in like 2018. I was still freelancing a lot for lots of other companies, and I just started doing like a little bit of my own coaching sort of
Yeah.
on the side. And he just sat down one day and he just looked at me and he just said, "You could run rings around everybody
Hmm.
who's who's organizing all these classes. You know, this happened the other day and you could have done it like that, you said, and then this happened the other day, you know, because things just weren't being run the way that I personally would have done it.
Yeah.
And I felt that there was a better solution to some of the issues that I kept coming up against. But when it's not your company, it's really difficult. And anyway, he just said, I think you just need to go all in and you just need to do it. And you're not afraid of hard work and you're not afraid of failure either. Like, you know,
Mhm.
you see it as such a sort of like learning process. So yeah, I ditched my Saturday job and managed to accumulate 12 students, and I was teaching them inside a porter cabin in a car park for the first
Wow.
term. And then word of mouth spread that, you know, Savannah was offering these Lambda speech and drama sessions in the little porter cabin, and yeah, and everyone kept recommending me, and it just grew from there. So then I was able to drop another freelance role to replace like a Monday evening, for
Yeah.
example, and then something else, and then another job came up to teach as a peripatetic teacher in a secondary school, and I applied for that job, and as soon as I got that job, I knew I'd have a little bit more financial security, so I just left every single freelance job and went all in on my business. So I was doing more coaching on a Saturday, and then I had a few more evening gigs, and then I was there 2 or 3 days a week. And I think that was the moment of just my partner just being like, I just know you can do this. And, you
Yeah.
know, he kind of sort of said it really quite casually as if like you could do it standing on your head, really. So,
Yeah.
you know, just go for it. And I think we're nearly always feeling restricted by finances and
Yeah.
time and, you know, all of those kind of quite normal things that would hold you back. And of course, I had doubts in terms of my confidence and a bit of imposter syndrome and all those usual things that come into play. But I think after everything I'd been through, I just thought, you know what? I already lost everything, and I'm
Yeah.
look where I am now, and I actually don't have anything to lose here.
Mhm.
I only have loads to gain.
Yeah.
And I think it's again like just surrounding yourself with all the right people. Um, I knew that there were just some toxic environments that were some of the companies I was working with, and I was
Yeah.
like, I don't need to be in those environments. I can create my own community. And it obviously sort of started off as 12 students in a porter cabin.
Yeah.
It kind of
Which it
took off,
often
and
does. Oh yeah, it often
yeah, and
does.
I had no like huge goals of like I didn't have a 5 year plan. I didn't even have a
Yeah.
12
Yeah.
month plan, you know.
Just
So
passion led.
it is just grown and grown and grown. And yeah, I've obviously I had never had any business experience. Most performing arts people don't. You know,
Yeah.
we
Yeah.
train at college, we go and work professionally as a performer, and then we start a school. And
Mhm.
I was stuck basically in that same kind of category. So I've had to learn it all as I go. But it's really fun running businesses. I love it.
Yeah, absolutely. And sometimes you need that, like you need that confidence from somebody else, that self-belief from somebody else just to give you that little push, don't you?
Mhm. Yeah,
Um,
and my partner's nothing to do with the performing arts either, so I feel like he could just be really objective from the outside, and he always is. He's a brilliant person just to run
oh,
ideas past and lean on when I need somebody.
oh,
Yeah.
beautiful. And I think you spoke a lot about like not having the confidence initially, but I think that's so crucial though. Like the confidence doesn't actually come first. And I think people always think
No,
to have the
never.
confidence. You need to just do it, and then then the confidence and the trust and all the self-belief builds as you
Exactly.
go.
You absolutely because you go through eras of your life, don't you, where you feel more confident in all sorts of facets. It could be anything, your work, your personal life, your dating life, being a parent, whatever it
Yeah,
is. And it's not something we're born with. We've got to grow it. We've got to build on it. It's like resilience, you're not
yeah,
babies aren't just born like a resilient person. We've got to work on these skills to build them. And I really think with confidence, particularly, it is one of those things that you just have to do as you go. You can't sort of be
yeah,
sitting at home as much as I've got like little rituals and things like that that I do with people in sessions. You don't sort of sit at home for months and months on end going, right, I'm sitting here building my confidence, doing
yeah.
it, I'm doing the work. You got to get out there and do it. Yeah, I love
Absolutely.
that.
Which is
Mm.
totally easier said than done, but it's courage first, isn't it? It's courage before you make it
Absolutely.
every single time. So
I
you,
always,
sorry, carry on.
so I was just going to say, I always say you got to put that toe out of the comfort zone
Yes.
to stretch yourself, to get yourself into the stretch zone, as long as it's safe to do so. Do you know what I
Yeah,
mean? Like
absolutely.
it's, we don't want to be doing absolutely crazy things. Um, and when I say safe, I also don't mean let yourself off the hook and be like, oh, it's not safe to do that. But,
Absolutely. That then in between,
like,
isn't it? The
yeah,
balance of the in between. I mean, I do
absolutely.
crazy things, but
I mean, I think there's a great
it
place for
was great.
crazy things, Donna. Like 100%, a hundred
Absolutely.
percent.
So you rebuilt yourself from the inside out, which is this is what that I think this is where sometimes people get it wrong, is they think it's an external thing and it's really, really not. So what did that healing journey actually look like from a day to day? Did you, like you said about having like your people you work with, you give like you have rituals and stuff like that. Do you have state like in that time or the now? Because it might still be there.
Yeah, I
Um,
mean, it's obviously evolved over
yeah,
time, but initially it started off with all the speech exercises I had to do, which were literally prescribed to me
yeah,
by my speech therapist. So that's where it all started. And I had to, I was teaching a lot of dance at the time. My performing arts school is predominantly acting, singing, and public speaking. But I
yeah.
started my career off as a dancer and as a dance teacher for a long time. And I had what I like to fondly refer to as a Britney mic. I had a little
Right.
head mic that
Love it.
I had a little plug where I plugged one bit into the speaker and one bit was, over my ear and towards my mouth, so that I could speak over it. So it was like making those little adjustments.
Yeah.
But the confidence came from initially starting with the speech exercises, and after I had my nodules I did start moving more into teaching acting, and singing, but mainly acting, again to sort of avoid the whole shouting over music and
Yeah.
things like that, because I just thought it's just not serving me.
Yeah.
Using a mic was brilliant, it was a really fun talking point, but also I was getting older and I just thought an acting coach is a much more, it's got a bit more longevity in
Yeah.
terms of the old bones and muscles and everything. So yeah, it was a lot of meditation, a lot of positive affirmations. As I said earlier, I was having a lot of Reiki every
Yeah.
fortnight. I was having
Oh, thank
Reiki.
you.
That's absolutely outstanding. If anybody has never tried it, I
Do it. Do
fully
it.
recommend giving it a go. And there was obviously loads of things that came up there. So there was more things that I sort of went off and explored, but
Yeah.
predominantly meditation, affirmations, and then sort of different vocal exercises and different like power poses.
Yes.
I'm sure, well, even at your talk, which is where we met, your signature move is having your arms up in the air. I
Yeah.
absolutely love that. Mine is my hands on my hips, a bit more
Yeah.
like superhero sort of power pose. I love that. That really makes me feel
And yeah,
like a
totally.
goddess. Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, yeah.
absolutely love that.
Yeah, but affirmations have been life-changing for
Yeah.
me, 100%. So I use that a lot. I used it a lot with young people as well, and I use that guide a lot with my coaching team,
Mhm.
and recommend that they use them with building confidence in young people as well.
100%. I think sometimes people think that affirmations is just like a woo-woo, like,
Oh, it's just
would
that's
they?
totally silly.
Like,
Yeah, yeah.
why would I say, why would I look at myself in the mirror or why would I say that
Mm.
out loud or whatever? Like, and this is the thing is it doesn't need to be that though either, doesn't it? Not that you don't need to sit and look stare at yourself in the mirror.
I don't ever look at myself in the mirror when I do
Exactly.
affirmations.
Absolutely. Like close your eyes, just say it until you sit. It's about that turning that negative dial down, isn't it? Like, because
Yeah.
everybody's got that negative dial. Nobody's like
Exactly. And
immune
with my
to it.
affirmations, I found what really helped me is making my own ones up
Yeah.
and writing them down in my journal and
Yeah.
then looking at them every morning or evening or whenever I'm doing it and reading them out loud in a private spot most of the time. Sometimes with like maybe a little bit of sort of meditative music on in the background, potentially depends. I mean, a lot more of that going on before I had my son, who's now 2. So,
Yeah.
I have to get up a little bit
Imagine.
earlier to be
Yeah.
able to do that sort of thing. And yeah, and also practicing gratitude. I find writing my 3 things at the end of the day that I'm grateful for, whether that be I'm so grateful that I managed to get outside for some fresh air
Yeah.
today,
Yeah.
or the more, the bigger things in life. I just have found that utterly life changing as
Yeah.
well.
And like you say, it's so simple. And I think
Mm.
people want to complicate things, don't they? Whereas it's so simple. Like gratitude and affirmations. Can you do that? Absolutely. Who can't do that?
Hmm.
Like, do you know what I mean? And like you say, it doesn't even need to be out loud. It can just be writing it down or just saying it in your like, do you know what I mean? There's a place that no matter who you are and what capacity, you can do that. And it can massively transform your life. Like, both of us are saying that. Do you know what I mean? It's massive. I remember listening to, is it Steve Harvey, I think? He has like this speech that he does, and it's about like waking up in the morning and like choosing your negative or your positive, basically, so you can wake up in the morning. And almost, again, it's like training your brain, isn't it? So waking up in the morning, you can
Yeah.
be like, oh my goodness, it's Monday morning, it's raining outside, oh, I've got to go to do, whatever. Or you could be like, oh my, it's Monday morning, I'm alive, I've opened my eyes today, I have a roof over my head. Okay, it's raining outside, but I've got a hood, I've got a brolly, I've got whatever. Do you know what I mean? And it's like finding the solution rather than finding the problem. And we're so designed to find the problem, aren't we?
Well, this is the problem. We're so negatively programmed, aren't we? And we've
Yeah,
got so much unconscious bias and just negativity bias. And yeah, so it is tough to like rewire yourself, as it
yeah,
were. But as you say, it is so simple. You've just got to do the work and you've got to be consistent as well,
yeah,
I would say. I would just say with anything,
yeah.
consistency is key because you can't just write a few affirmations down, say them a couple of
You're like,
times and
I've
hope for
got
the best, can
yeah.
you?
No, yeah.
Good.
I suppose it's like anything, like sometimes I always refer it back to like the gym. Like you wouldn't just put, you don't do a bicep curl once and then you're like boom, like absolutely.
Oh,
Do you know what I mean? Like
guns.
if only, if only. Do you know what I mean? It's like
Imagine.
anything, it's repetition and consistency is absolutely key. So you've done a lot of the different types of therapeutic work and speech therapy and all this different stuff. Would you say? Would you say there was a specific one that was like that was the one, or was it very much a kind of a jigsaw puzzle?
I mean, I would say at first it was a combination, but I've never looked at my speech therapy exercises ever again, really. Once my nodules had been reversed, those speech therapy exercises were on pieces of paper. They went into a nice little folder, and occasionally I might get them out for students to
Yeah.
do because they're perfect for acting warm-ups and things
Yeah.
like that. But the holistic side of things has absolutely been the game changer for me. And I mean, I am also really lucky that my mum and dad have meditated for years, and my
Oh,
mum is really into visualization, which is another
wow.
thing that has really, really helped me in the last sort of 10 years. But I was visualizing like winning competitions when I was 10, when I was a dancer,
Wow.
because my mum is so heavily into it. And my mum's one of these ones that she's a little bit spooky, you know, she'll
Mhm.
sort of put things out there into the universe and they do tend to happen. You're
And
like,
you're like, what?
oh, I don't know. She's on a slightly different frequency to everybody else, a really
That's
cool one, I
brilliant.
should
No,
say.
that's so
Yeah.
good.
And yeah, her and my dad I've been meditating for sort of about 20 odd years, I would say. So it wasn't brand new information to
Yeah.
me. However, I started taking it a lot more seriously when my health was compromised. And what I would say to people is that don't wait for your health to be compromised or anything
No.
else. Just start. You know, if you're feeling in a place right now, for example, where you're not feeling your best, or something really awful has happened in your personal or work life, or whatever it is, and you're looking for something to start that's a really easy thing to implement, that doesn't cost you any money and doesn't require half an hour a day,
Yeah.
literally a couple of minutes just to get started, that is where I would begin downloading an app to listen to some meditations. There are lots of free ones out there, writing down some affirmations, or if you can't even manage that yet, no worries, go and find some off the internet. There are
Yeah,
plenty
yeah,
to choose
absolutely.
from. And just, I think visualizing is very difficult if you're not in a good place.
Yeah.
So maybe just start with that to begin with.
Yeah.
But I also find visualizing really powerful,
Yeah.
and it takes a lot of practice, I would say. And I'm quite a visual creative person, and I have
Yeah.
found it difficult because I just can't concentrate for ages. So
I know. And
yeah.
this is, do you know my friend, like she's like, I don't know how can meditate. She's got ADHD and all that sort of stuff, but she gets so annoyed with herself, and I'm like, but that's the point of meditation, is like it's okay if your brain goes away, but see
Yeah.
as we pull it like just it's just like, oh, okay, that happened, right, bring it back. Like, and I think people think you to be a proper meditation person, like you must sit in a Buddha pose, you must have no thoughts whatsoever. Like it's just not real. It's just
Yeah, no, I could never meditate like that.
no
No
way.
way.
Like there's no way. And I said to my friend, like she's one like my best friend. I was like, but that like if your mind goes and you can pull yourself back, that is exactly what meditation is. Like it's exactly like you're doing it right. Do you know what I mean? And there's no right or wrong,
Absolutely.
but like I think people just think like again they have this kind of perception of, oh, I can't do that because it looks like that, and it's like no, it doesn't. Everything's different. Everything's unique to you, isn't it?
Mhm.
It's
Absolutely.
it's just, but like you say, until you're in the space where you're like you've done like yourself or myself, where you're like and you're so passionate about this is so powerful, this stuff is so powerful, and it just takes that like stepping into it, doesn't it? Just to build on that and like you say, repetition, consistency, all that beautiful stuff. So, what was the out of all the stuff we've talked about, what was the hardest part to process? And what surprised you about yourself in that process?
Okay, it's a really good question, Donna, and I'm gonna lay it all
Okay,
out there
moment.
right now.
Absolutely.
I felt really ashamed that my marriage didn't work.
Hmm.
I carried a lot of shame for a lot of years. I would say maybe the only like the last couple of years, I've really come through the other side. And carrying that amount of shame with you for such a long time is really heavy and really hard.
Hmm.
And I, although I have done so much work on myself, and I still couldn't get my head around for a long time that I was still somebody in my early 30s that was divorced. And I
Yeah.
just didn't like that label. And
Mm.
so I tried to reframe it in that I was really brave, and that I made a really big and brave decision at quite a young age
Hmm.
that I didn't have to for want of a better way of putting it, put up with being my life being the way that it was.
Yeah.
And that's how I've managed to work through carrying that amount of shame for quite a long time. And I would also say that I felt quite bitter for quite a long time, which I don't like to admit
Yeah.
because I feel like, on the whole, I'm a pretty positive, optimistic person. And I do really try to see, the good in lots of things. But I felt like I'd lost time. I
Yeah.
felt like I'd lost time out of auditioning for various roles and various jobs that I would have loved to have done in my mid to late 20s. I felt like I had stepped back quite a lot psychologically. Like, no one really gets married, I don't think, thinking that they're going to get
Yeah.
divorced. I'm pretty sure that's not what most people's intentions are. So yeah, I felt that I had to work really hard to get to work through and letting go of the
Yeah.
fact that I couldn't change the past.
Yeah.
And I found that really challenging.
Mhm.
Some people might say, yeah, but you'd lost your voice and you weren't able to do certain things, or you were in so much debt. But I managed to pay all of that off. I managed to,
Yeah.
that was just a material thing. It was really inconvenient, don't get me wrong.
Yeah.
And I worked my socks off to sort that out, which I cleared a few years ago. So happy days. But it was the shame
Yeah.
and the guilt and the thought of what my actions may have how my actions may have impacted other people,
Yeah.
and just feeling like I'd lost time and that I didn't know how to make that up again. And the way I worked through that was that I just couldn't,
Yeah.
and I just had to live my life the way that I want to live it,
Mhm.
and um, to have the experiences that I want and to do the things that I want to do. And they're always ever changing. One minute I want to do one thing and the next minute I want to do something
Yeah.
else. And,
Magpie.
exactly. Yeah. So yeah, those were the toughest
Yeah.
hurdles that I had to get over. And don't get me wrong, occasionally they creep back in
Yeah.
sometimes.
Mhm.
But nothing like what they did sort of 8, 9, yeah, between sort of 8 and 4 years ago, sort of thing.
Mhm. Mhm.
Um, and again, I feel like using my experiences to help other people are just part of that continuing process of moving forward, really.
Yeah, and this is it. But that's where it's so powerful, isn't it? Because people resonate with reality, like with actual realness, and so people will resonate with you because they have a shared experience. Do you know what I mean? Maybe not shared, but like shared as in
Yeah.
both they've been through similar things, and that's when
Mhm.
people get drawn to you. Like I know loads of people when I'd done that talk at Business Revolution, loads of people came up and spoke to me like quietly, and were like. I
Yeah.
resonate with that, and it's because you're telling your story to kind of impact the world, aren't you? And it's like it's so important that when you use your voice and you use your story, it literally heals other people. Like it's so beautiful the impact that it can have, and what a way to reframe like that whole part of your life. Like, and I think that's so crucial. People can get kind of all like, oh my goodness, like into their self and like this is not fair. It shouldn't be happening to me. But when you can just shift and reframe it, it literally just transforms it all, doesn't it? From being something that's so painful and so negative. Not to say that the pain wasn't there, of course it was, but like this has happened for a reason for me to then step into this version of me. Had you not left that marriage, where would you be right now? Do you know what I mean? Like,
Exactly.
and when you
100%.
look at that, you're like, my goodness, like don't look further ahead, see the bigger picture kind of thing. So powerful. I absolutely love that. And I love that your parents meditate. I love that. I wish my mum and dad meditated. They need a bit of meditation in their life, but that
My
I
mum's
am.
nearly 70 and she
I
absolutely
love
loves it.
that. And it's so unheard of for that generation, though, isn't it? Like, see, my mum and dad are just like, what are you up to? Like, they're just so stuck in their, like, they're so tunnel
Hmm.
vision and stuck in their ways. And so it's so beautiful and refreshing to hear that there is people of the older generation that are totally into it, which is so beautiful because there's not many of them. There really
No,
isn't many. They're so
no, my
still
mum's
away.
got a powerful mind, that's for sure.
I love that. I love that.
Hmm.
So you're now a theatre school owner and you help other theatre school owners, but you help other business owners in general. It's
Yep.
not just theatre schools, isn't it not?
Hmm.
So why is this work? Obviously we're both in the performing arts, as in like I have a dance school, but similar to
Yeah.
you, you've got coaches. It's amazing. Like I genuinely don't know what I'd do without them. Um, how do and I think when you're in that creative role. It is an amazing role to be in because you're already creating a massive impact just by being like such a staple person in a child's life, aren't you? It's so beautiful, and I still have like kids. I say kids, they're like 30, but like I taught like, and we were at the weddings, we go to the christenings, we go to the funerals, and we all collaborate and combine together. And I always sit back at these things, and I'm like. These people, this would not be a thing if they didn't all just attend a dance class. It's just
It's
incredible. Like,
wild, isn't it?
it's
Yeah,
incredible. Honestly, we
amazing.
were at one of their weddings in July, and everything there's like a full table of the competitive side of my dance school is called Dazzlers, so they compete as Dazzlers. So it's like the Dazzlers table, and it's always like funerals, weddings, christenings, and it's like no matter how long it's been since they've seen each other, they just it's like they've never been apart. Do you know what I mean? Some of them haven't danced for a decade, and it's
Hmm.
still like a thing. Like, and it's so beautiful. I totally went off on a tangent there. But you do create a massive impact. But and I'm about to ask you why does this work feel important to you? But I've kind of just said it.
Yeah, for the same reason, Donna. But yeah, yeah, for me, I think that every child deserves to find a space that they feel really
Absolutely.
creative in, that they feel secure and confident in, and that they have a coach or a teacher or somebody that they can look up to as a role model to be able to embrace their authenticity and show it to everybody.
Yeah.
And then the work that I do with my adult clients is basically exactly the same, you
Yes.
know, and that's what I love so much. I think sometimes it's actually more, I don't want to say challenging, that's not the right word. It sometimes can actually be harder to get adults
Yeah.
to realize just how blooming awesome they are.
Yeah.
And because they've had more years to have more
Mhm.
experiences and
Yeah.
to have more failures or more successes or whatever it is that they may have gone through. So I have a few clients that are at really like sort of very differing moments of their life. One who is like very successful and now is looking for sort of like the next thing, and it's
Yeah.
almost like the fear of will I get more success,
Yeah.
not so much I mean, technically, you could frame that as it's a fear of failure, like, the failure not to succeed at the next
Yeah.
thing. But,
Yeah.
I think that we're all sort of thinking that we're not going to achieve what we want to and stuff like that. But my motto is like, why do you not want people to realize, like, why? Sorry, let me rephrase that. One of my mottos is don't be the best kept secret.
Yeah.
And if you aren't able to step forward and either reclaim your voice or own the space or whatever it is that you're striving for, people won't know about you, and
Yeah.
we can't have that.
Absolutely, 100%. And I totally agree with the children and
Mhm.
thing. I think children are and again it's choosing your words carefully, isn't it? Like, but they are easier to kind of mold, obviously depending on what their background and what
Of
stories they
course,
do have.
yeah.
But they're definitely easier in the sense that, like you say, they've not had all the kind of stories or as many stories or as many patterns or for as long a period of time.
Yeah, I
Big,
think it's the
big
period of
thing.
time, isn't
Yeah.
it? Yeah.
I think again with any sort of some form of transformation, it's this way the way of the world. Everybody wants it like now. like yesterday. Like, do you know what I mean? And it's like that. I know it's not sexy, but it's not real. Like it's not realistic. And whether that be a physical change, whether that be in your mindset, whether that be spiritually, whether that be in your business, whatever, it doesn't matter. Like it's like little and little but long, rather than it being like tomorrow that it's going to overhaul and everything's going to be amazing. And it's like, that's not going to happen. Do you know what I mean? Like it's and then people feel like a failure, and then because they feel like a failure, it's like, oh, well, what's the point then? Because I kind of, do you know what I mean? And it's then you're just feeding that negative bias, aren't you? It's
Absolutely.
mental. So what patterns do you see often in business owners? I know we spoke about it a little bit. We were talking about patterns there who are struggling with confidence and self-belief. What are the patterns that you see?
Oh, goodness me. The
Yeah.
patterns are that people don't believe enough in their own ideas, they don't believe enough in their own abilities, they aren't necessarily sending out the message that they want to send because they're not quite confident enough to say what they really want to say, and potentially might not be charging enough for their services. I see a lot of undercharging going on, and I'm not for a second sitting here saying that one of the things I tell everybody to do is to put their prices up. I don't do that unless it's absolutely necessary, and I also don't believe in charging extortionate amounts for things
Yeah.
if it's not warranted. um but when you can just see from a mile away as an objective
Yeah.
person that they should be charging a lot more. In my experience, every time any of my clients have ever put their prices up, no one's ever said a thing
Yeah.
because they are giving such good value.
Mhm.
And then with a few more little tweaks and little techniques put in place, the value increases hugely because their confidence has improved from the sessions that we've been doing and things like that. Yeah.
Absolutely. I find when I work with a lot of, and I actually what women and men. I don't work. I've worked with a bunch of boys. I don't often work with like men on their own. However, I think I'm going to do a men's retreat this year because I've just had an epiphany. But I work in some schools, and in schools I do a lot of work with the girls, and then this last term I had a group of boys, which I don't normally have. It's normally all girls. And I was a bit like, oh, I don't know if it worked with boys, like kind of thing. But actually, when you actually sit with them, it's the core belief is the same. It's just dressed up differently. So the
Yeah.
boys will act in a certain way and the girls will act in a certain way. But the real crux of it, it's like lack of feeling good enough.
Mhm.
100% a lack of feeling good enough. And it's the same thing that I find with women on retreat or one-to-one coaching, whatever it is. It is that lack of feeling good enough or lack of trust within themselves. But again, they can go hand in hand, don't they?
Yeah, the trust thing is
Mhm.
huge,
Yeah.
definitely.
Yeah, for sure. So, what shifts or breakthroughs do you love seeing with the people that you work? Because it is a beautiful experience, isn't it, when you see them?
Yeah. Oh gosh. So things like getting new roles. I've worked with a few people that don't have their own businesses but work for, quite big companies and things. And then they've either shifted company or they've had a huge promotion within that company. So that's always, you celebrate the wins along with your clients, don't you? Like absolutely amazing. And then um things where clients haven't been able to put themselves out on social media, and then all of a sudden they're going live and they're on their stories 24/7, because they've really improved their confidence in their ability and what they're talking about or what they're
Yeah.
offering. So just being able to show up like that, or be able to deliver a webinar, or record the course that they've always been dreaming of, or start the membership that they've always
Yeah.
wanted to create. It's all these sort of things. So it's usually adding an additional strand to
Mhm.
their revenue, um, in a way where they have to show up in some sort of way and have to deliver their message or their value. But yeah, just seeing somebody like go on their stories for the first time on social
Yeah.
media when they're just used to putting photos on and a post, which is obviously works really, really well too.
Yeah.
But we have to build up that know, like, trust factor with our
Yeah.
audience, don't we? And if you're just there sort of walking down the street having a chat to your phone, people are like, oh yeah, 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 like agree with
Yeah.
what she's saying there. Yeah, no,
Yeah.
that's good, isn't it? So yeah,
And it makes it
those
that
sorts
more
of
real,
things.
doesn't it? It just makes it more real.
Exactly.
It's you like an actual human being. People resonate
Hmm.
with you. But like we've all been there. We've all been there when we went live for the first time and they're like, oh my God, I feel sick. Like you get that
Yeah.
whole feeling in the pit of your stomach. But it's like again,
Where are
when
my
you do it,
notes? And now
yeah.
you're like, oh yeah, I'll just go for it,
I
whatever.
just talk
Slap.
gibberish. Like I don't even know what I'm saying most of the time. I'm just like, oh, but that's what people like. People like people. Do you know what I mean? It's like
Yeah,
people actually resonate
absolutely.
with just the reality of being real. I think so many people are, especially in social media. I think sometimes like people can get so caught up in the highlights, and everybody's seen the highlights of everybody's life. And again, I'm not good enough because I've not done this and this and this and this and all these people. But it's not real. Like it's not real. Whereas when you can just go on and talk to your stories and be like, oh, I'm a hot mess today or whatever, this is happening, this is happening, this is happening. It's like, oh yeah, like I can resonate with you because it's real and it's not just like a picture perfect moment every 5 seconds. Do you know what I mean? I think it's so important to be real, but with like it's so scary in that first moment. That first moment is so scary, but this
Mm,
repetition builds that courage, builds that confidence, doesn't it?
definitely.
So what's to come for you? What's happening in the future?
So I'm launching a brand new one-to-one program in January, which is called Reclaim Your Voice, funnily enough. And I am going to be speaking at the Women Thrive Summit in March
Wow.
2026 as well. And that is also it's just going to be an elongated version of this, really, about my story. So my talk is called Reclaim Your Voice: How I Found My Confidence Again.
Mhm.
Um, so those are the sort of two main things that are going on, but I've got quite a few other little things in the pipeline, and I will be rejudging my own podcast as
Mhm.
well. So
Yes,
yeah,
I'm
that
excited about
is
that.
yeah, it's very exciting. So yeah, they're
Um,
kind of like the main things coming up for me. Yeah.
and what about your theatre school?
Oh, well, we've got all the usual things. We have our showcase in March.
Mhm.
We have our Lambda exam weekends coming up in June. And then we have our awards ceremony in August.
Mhm.
And then we kind of like tail off towards the end
Yeah.
of the year and then rev back up again in the new year. And it's going to be a really special academic year this year because I've got at least 4 students who will all be graduating from MTA, my school, because they've either reached grade 8 or they are going to drama school.
Oh,
So they are about to
exciting.
fly the nest, which is so exciting that I've got students that I've taught since they were primary school age and now
Yeah.
they're, young adults. But it's also like really sad at
You're a
the same
proud
time
mum. Yeah.
because it makes me feel a little bit old. You just get to know these students, you get to know their
Yeah.
families and their siblings and everybody
Mhm.
because a lot of our work is one to one. So you really do get that close connection, you
Yeah.
really build that rapport. And even though I don't teach them physically myself anymore, I do still check in, and I had like a mentoring session with one of them last week, well, two of them actually, the other one was a few weeks ago because they're auditioning for drama school at the moment and just need like
Brilliant.
another set of eyes on their pieces and
Yeah.
another um, bit of inspiration and another little pep talk, from a
Yeah.
different voice.
Yeah.
So I've been very happy to step
Oh,
in to do that,
nice.
which has been really great just to
One of
support them
my
on their last bits of
yeah.
their auditions and
Especially
recalls and things.
it's bittersweet, isn't it? Like you're so proud of them when they get to do
Bittersweet,
that.
that's the
Yeah.
phrase. Yes.
Bittersweet, yeah. But you're devastated that they're leaving, but at the same time, like you're so proud.
Hmm.
One of my girls
Yeah.
went to Addict and she had her first, this was a couple of years ago now, but she had her first it's like a Christmas thing that she done in London West End. So I remember saying, yeah, I will watch you when you first have your first um performance, like as a dancer, as an actual professional dancer. So sure enough, flew down, watched her with a wee Santa Claus outfit and all that on London's West End. It was amazing. And then she's ended up
Amazing.
being in Wicked. She was a dancer in the Wicked film, and actually both of them, and danced for a Greek. I don't know who she was, but a Greek, like really amazing, well-known. big pop star in Greece. She was away over there. That it's just
Wow.
like I'm like it's so amazing. Like it's just so
Fabulous,
amazing.
fabulous career so far. Yeah.
Absolutely, absolutely. But like you're saying about the performing arts, like you do have there is a period of time, isn't there? Like in that, like once you've missed that window, it's much harder, isn't it? When you're
Mhm.
in that kind of when you're a wee bit older. But I always ask everybody this question: if you could go back and speak to your former self. Now that might be that you can go back whenever you like. It could be that period of time with your husband, or it could be a way back and whatever. Like you can go back to wherever you like. If you could go back and tell your younger self something, knowing what you know now, what would it be?
Keep dreaming big, sweetheart.
I love that. It's so beautiful.
Yeah,
It's so important, isn't it, to just to recognise that they're still there, like they're still inside you. Do you know what I mean? It's so
definitely.
beautiful. Amazing. Where can we find you? So where can everybody find you?
So the main places I hang out are definitely on Instagram. I'm there on at I am Savanna Madden, and that's Savannah without an H. And I can also be found on Facebook. I am just on there as Savannah Madden. So come and add me as a friend or send me a DM or anything like that. I love chatting to people in my DMs. That is where I am very, very happy. So yeah, come say hi over there. Either one of those or both, and love to chat.
Oh, amazing, amazing. Thank you so, so much for coming on. Your story is so inspiring. I know it'll have so much power when people listen to it because it's so inspiring, so beautiful. And like you say, turning that pain into power is just fucking phenomenal, isn't it? Like it's just
Mhm.
amazing. It's just
Thank
amazing.
you.
Thank you so, so much for joining us. Like I've put all your stuff in the show notes, like all your Instagram handle and stuff like that. So please reach out to Savannah, reach out to me, and thank you so much for joining us. And we'll speak to you next time. Bye.
Bye. Thank you.